What's up, Crypto Crew, and welcome back. Or if this is your first time, I'm Captain Crypto Might, actively escaping the Matrix, scoping out the crypto ocean. So if you like your odds, get on the boat, stay up to date, thumbs up, and join the hunt.
Into the boat!
Crypto Crew, in part one, we walk through how over 330 million Kaspa effectively vanished through a so-called bridge that was supposed to make things easier for investors. Today in part two, we're going much deeper. We're going to follow the unchained breadcrumbs, how WKaspa kept getting minted while the bridge was already closed, how the native Kaspa reserves quietly drained towards zero, and how some people were still buying the wreckage at a 90% discount, betting the bridge would magically reopen. This isn't just a story about one failed project, it's a case study in how centralized bridges can weaponize your trust, even when the underlying asset, Kaspa, remains decentralized and sound. If you care about Kaspa, self-custody, and protecting your stack from predatory custodial games, this episode is for you. Stay tuned, Crypto Crew.
Time to find out.
Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. Keep your Kaspa coins, your Bitcoin, and crypto investments safe via self-custody. In our opinion, the Tangent wallet is your best option, and there is a Black Friday special where you can get 30% off plus $10 in Bitcoin. Just add code BF2025 to our channel code CryptoCrew to avail. Link in the description box below. Thanks so much for your consideration and support in advance, and may the Lord Jesus Christ bless you all.
In March 2025, DJ said he dares not give an estimated time when he'll fix it, but he will 100% resolve it. And that was back in March. We started posting on X about different problems. Finally, there were two crypto news outlets which reported on it, and I submitted some information to Protos, and then about a week later or so they had this story where they talked about the bridge collapse, and Rect News also had an article about it. But in the meantime, DJ was still claiming that the bridge would be reopened. So I started looking into their wallets and investigating that in detail. So in April, DJ was claiming that the vaults were blacklisted by bad actors. He's pledging his own $5 million of his own money within a week. That was in April, and it's been more than a week. In April to May, there was no fix, and the wrapped Kaspa had collapsed to about 15% of the native Kaspa value. And the reason for that is because the token becomes worthless if you can't redeem it for the native asset. So people lost faith and started selling. The reason I was involved was because while the bridge was operational, I had bridged a small amount of Kaspa to provide liquidity on Ethereum to earn some swap fees. And that worked at the time. Then I bridged it back a short time after. And then later on, I bridged again while the bridge was closed, was not operational, and I wasn't able to bridge back. And then I went into the telegrams and saw all these problems. And then I heard from more and more people that there were many assets stuck, not just Kaspa. There were people reporting Bitcoin stuck, Ethereum stuck, USDT stuck. And recently I was trying to track the total amounts which were lost, but actually the Fusion blockchain has been taken offline. The nodes are offline. The Explorer has been taken offline. So they're trying to cover their tracks, basically, and prevent people from investigating this accurately to hide their wrongdoing, basically. That's what it seems like. So in March of 2025, Cast.FYI spoke out, breaking ties with Change and Not, warning people not to use their platforms. At that point, a lot of people already had lost their liquidity and it was trapped, and they were trying to get it back and putting pressure on Change to restore what they owed to the people, but there was very little progress on that. But it was good to see that the community was speaking out against them finally. While Kaspa is decentralized, there were some messaging from the website and different marketing people involved with Kaspa about how it was a good thing. And that led some people who I talked to give more trust to this whole platform of Change, unfortunately. And we can't really blame the people who were doing the marketing. They just believed what they were told. So every time you bridge Kaspa from the L1 to Ethereum, a wrapped Kaspa token would get minted by the bridge address, which I provided before. You can look up the transactions. It shows it as going from the null address 0 to a new address. So you can track these transactions of transfers from the null address to a real address. And on the way back, when it gets bridged back to the native Kaspa, then the wrapped asset gets burned. So you can also track the amount of times that it goes from a real address to the null address, and that would be considered a burn. So this plot here shows the mints and the burns on the Ethereum and the Polygon L2 of the wrapped Kaspa asset. And you can look at the spikes, both in terms of the mints and the burns. The main point that I wanted to show here was that even when the bridge was closed, you could see that nothing is working. There were still mints taking place on 2025 all the way to April and May of 2025. There were mints taking place. So one question is, why were mints taking place if people have realized that the bridge doesn't work? Some people have reported they were refunded in wrapped Kaspa. There were a couple of people, but that amount is relatively small to the number of times that there are actual mints taking place. So it's possible that Change is minting wrapped Kaspa and selling on Uniswap, even while the bridge is closed. So not only are they withholding the native Kaspa, but they could also be minting tokens and draining the liquidity on the Ethereum and Polygon side. Double spending, basically.
Wouldn't that lead to the depegging of the Kaspa price?
Yeah, it would. But not only was Change selling the wrapped asset, users were also selling the wrapped assets because they lost faith in the backing, which they had no evidence for existing. These plots show the cumulative amount of the wrapped asset compared to the amounts in their Kaspa bridge reserve, their native Kaspa wallets. So this yellow curve here shows the amount in their Kaspa L1 wallet. You can see it rising steadily. It reaches a peak, and then it gradually is decreasing over time pretty sharply. And when you get to around the end of 2024, the amount in their wallets is basically zero. No reserve backing anymore. But at the same time,
how's that possible? Because the wrapped Kaspa is the one that's getting used, not the native. That's just locked up.
Yeah, well, we thought it was locked up, but they have control over the wallet, so they can do whatever they want with the Kaspa in those wallets.
Right. So somehow the wallets is being drained, what you're showing here, right? The native Kaspa wallets have been drained, while the wrapped Kaspa supply is growing.
Yep. There should be no basis for the amount of wrapped Kaspa to ever be larger than the amount in the Kaspa reserves. If that ever happens, then people won't be able to redeem the wrapped asset for the native asset. But instead, we're seeing not only is the native asset dropping the reserves, but the wrapped asset is increasing. So they're just minting it out of thin air and it has absolutely no backing.
This is madness.
And that's the hard lesson we learned from this is you put yourself at risk by trusting any of these custodial protocols, and best to avoid them. So this orange trace here is the price of native Kaspa. The blue is the price of the wrapped Kaspa using the Ethereum pool, which was the largest liquidity pool. I got the data from CoinGecko for the full time frame here. So around 2025 is when you see this big price divergence, and that's around the time when the bridge was not allowing redemptions. So as a result, people lost faith in the wrapped version and started selling it, and it dropped by about 80% relative to the Kaspa value. The worst case was around 91% price deviation. So it's pretty sharp, basically lost complete value and had no use at all. In the Rect article, if you go to their publication where they talk about the Change finance issues and the bridge collapse, there's a link to a Telegram group where people made this Change stuck transactions group. And within that group, there are people who are talking about that it's a good investment to buy wrapped Kaspa because they think DJ will open the bridge. And then they'll get Kaspa at a major discount, a 90% discount. And once the bridge is open, they'll bridge it back to native Kaspa and they'll make a huge profit. So there were people talking about that, saying that they're going to make profit. And some of those people were buying small amounts of Kaspa, some large amounts. But unfortunately, it looks like they will lose out because it doesn't seem like the bridge is opening anytime soon or ever.
I mean, I thought either it's human greed or it's either someone has insider knowledge, essentially.
That's right. And some people in that group speculated that Change was buying the wrapped asset and that they had insider information, like you're saying, that the bridge would open and that they would make a large profit. But there was really no strong evidence in support of that.
So what did we just see, Crypto Crew? A bridge that stopped honoring redemptions, a reserve of native Kaspa drained to almost nothing, and a stream of unbacked wrapped tokens that kept getting minted and likely dumped on the market. While public promises of a fix dragged on for months, the takeaway for the Kaspa community is crystal clear. Kaspa itself didn't fail. What failed was the trusted middleman sitting between you and your coins. If there's no transparent, verifiable backing, if someone else holds the keys, you're not just crossing a bridge, you're handing them your parachute and hoping they pack it right. Share the story. The more Caspians understand what happened here, the harder it becomes for the next bridge to pull the same stunt. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good.
Stick around.
Fix your mind before you get to the grind. And with that said, let's continue to escape the matrix. Let's continue to be on the lookout for the next big thing here on the crypto ocean. Grow in grace, and let's make some crypto waves. Say I.